Hi, and welcome to another episode from yours truly, Debra. Answers About Alzheimer's is the channel dedicated to all things dementia. You're probably here for one of several reasons. Either you or a loved one has been diagnosed, you're a caregiver or a professional working with someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, or you're worried that you may now or in the future have dementia. In any case, no matter where you are in the disease process, you came to the right place. Nothing is off limits here. I want you to feel free to dump anything you've got on me. Write down in that comment box, feel free. No guilt. I'm here for you. Not everyone will give you the God's honest truth, but I will. So don't hold back. Ask away. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a whole video on your question, because chances are, if you're wondering, so are others. If you're at the beginning of your dementia or Alzheimer's path, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You're going to need lots of information and a space that you can count on. And that's right here at Answers About Alzheimer's. So click on that red subscribe button. Subscribing is free, and it gives you instant access to all of our videos in one convenient spot. You're going to have lots of questions. You're going to hit lots of roadblocks. You're going to feel like you can't do it anymore. But you will take comfort knowing that I'm here for you every step up that mountain. You will be able to get answers here that you cannot find anywhere else. Okay, are you ready? Grab a pen and a piece of paper, because you're probably going to want to jot some of this stuff down. So, what is dementia? Dementia is a comprehensive loss of memory with reduced cognitive intellectual performance due to brain damage and cell death. Dementia is a group of symptoms that impact our memory, our thinking, language skills, judgment, and behaviors. It can change our personalities, and it impacts our day-to-day functioning. Dementia is the deterioration of the brain cells, resulting in cell death. Currently, there is no cure. Research has identified several risk factors that increase your chances of getting dementia. Some are modifiable and others are not, meaning that some of these risk factors we have more control over than others. In today's video, I'm going to go over the many but not all of the risk factors related to Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Dementia is actually a more general term. It's a symptom of something else like Alzheimer's disease or vascular disease. Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia. Dementia is the physical deterioration of the brain. It is not a specific disease by itself. It's actually a symptom of another related disease. There are over 100 different types of dementia. Who is at risk for developing dementia? Some of these might surprise you. So let's get started. Well, the first risk factor is age. So, unless you don't plan on having any more birthdays, you're at risk. By the way, today is my birthday, and it would make me so happy if you subscribed. Just saying. If you reach the ripe old age, oh, that's really an awful saying, isn't it? The ripe old age. I'm not going to use that again. Anyway, if you reach age 85, your chance of having dementia is about half. Half. 50%. That's a pretty high risk. So age is the number one risk factor and nothing that we have control over. The risk increases significantly with advanced age. Next is head injuries. If you've had a TBI or a traumatic brain injury, you are at higher risk. Honestly, that name never made much sense to me. If you had a brain injury, It's got to be traumatic, right? Traumatic brain injury as opposed to a non-traumatic brain injury. If your mother dropped you on your head as a baby or a child, that counts as a risk factor. Also, concussions, they count too, or repeated blows to the head, like a soccer player, football, or boxing. Anything that jostles that brain around inside the skull cavity. The next risk factor is high blood pressure. Lots of people have high blood pressure. That's a risk factor for having dementia, along with high cholesterol and diabetes. People who have high cholesterol levels often have other factors associated with dementia risk, such as high blood pressure and diabetes. Separating these as individual risk factors has not yet been proven. So keep your blood pressure and cholesterol in check with regular visits to the doctor and stay on those prescribed medications. Smoking. Smoking is a dementia risk factor. Smoking can significantly increase your risk for dementia and mental decline. In fact, current smokers are 30% more likely to develop dementia and 40% more likely to develop Alzheimer's disease specifically. Smoking damages the structures of your blood vessels and makes it harder for the blood to flow freely around the body and through the brain. Smoking reduces the oxygen level in your blood. The brain uses about 20% of the body's oxygen supply from the bloodstream, which means anything stopping the brain from getting oxygen-rich blood supply is stopping the cells from getting the nutrients that they need to thrive and survive. This includes arterial sclerosis and other vascular diseases. Next is alcohol use. Well, that puts me in the category. Not anymore. I don't drink at all anymore. But a long time ago, I used to drink quite a bit of alcohol. People who drink on occasion or moderately, they don't need to worry about adversely affecting a link to dementia. When we talk about alcohol causing dementia, we're talking about binge drinking or alcoholism. Those who are heavy drinkers have increased their risk of having dementia by about 3 times. Heavy drinking can cause a deficiency in thiamine or vitamin B1. This deficiency can cause Korsakoff syndrome. Korsakoff syndrome, which is another form of dementia. Remember, I mentioned before that there are over 100 different types. Well, alcohol-related is one particular type. Next, we're going to talk about family history. Has anyone in your family had dementia? Was the word senile ever used to describe a family member? Back in the day, these words were used a lot more often than the word dementia. If your parents had any form of dementia or your brothers or sisters, this puts you in a higher risk category. If you are African American, you are twice as likely to get dementia. And if you are Hispanic, you are 1.5 times more likely to have dementia than if you are white. Dementia is a loss of functioning, a loss of problem solving, reasoning, and affects our daily living. It can creep up on you over the years. As the disease progresses, you lose the ability to control your emotions, and you will have changes in your personality. And eventually, you will become 100% completely dependent on others. The big question is, what type of dementia do you have? 60 to 80% of dementias are Alzheimer's. That is the most common. The next risk factor that we're going to talk about is MCI, or mild cognitive impairment. Not everyone with MCI or mild cognitive impairment will develop dementia, but those diagnosed with MCI have a significant increased risk of dementia compared to others. Approximately 40% of people over the age of 65 who have MCI will develop dementia within 3 years' time. Heart disease, or arterial sclerosis, is the buildup of plaque in the artery lining. This is a significant risk factor for developing vascular dementia. In this risk category, oxygen-rich blood is poorly delivered to the brain and can lead to a stroke. Arterial sclerosis has been linked to Alzheimer's disease. A healthy heart means a healthy brain. The next risk factor is obesity. If you are obese in midlife, you are 31% more likely to develop dementia than a person of normal weight. A woman that carries the weight around her belly as opposed to her hips or buttocks or other parts of the body has a 39% greater risk of dementia. But oddly enough, that statistic is not true for the male population. Obesity is associated with a higher risk of Alzheimer's disease and neurodegenerative changes. Articles support that obesity can trigger vascular dementia, decreasing the blood flow to the brain, and also increases fat cells that damage the brain's delicate white matter, leading to cognitive decline. The white matter of the brain is responsible for connecting the neurons. This deterioration is directly related to brain atrophy, or shrinking of the brain. Next is depression. A good predictor of increased risk of dementia is the decade before the onset of symptoms. Risk increases if the subject has had prolonged depressive symptoms. Depression later in life has been associated with doubling the risk of having dementia. This next risk factor might surprise you. Hearing loss. Even mild hearing loss doubles dementia risk. Moderate hearing loss can triple your risk, and those with severe hearing deficits are 5 times more likely to suffer from Alzheimer's disease or dementia. The jury is still out on whether or not the use of hearing aids help to lower these statistics, but boy, I sure hope so. My husband has pretty significant hearing loss and wears hearing aids. It is thought that when our hearing is impaired, we begin to socially isolate and withdraw from conversations, as a result, being less engaged. This lack of stimulation decays our neural pathways needed for memory function. This is yet another reason why isolation is bad for our overall health and seniors. Early studies show that people with severe hearing loss that wear hearing aids might have a slightly lower risk of cognitive decline. So fingers crossed for that study. I've told my poor husband several times that if he gets dementia, I'm going to dress him up in funny clothes and shoot YouTube videos, and I'm going to make a fortune. The poor guy. I tell him that all the time, but he's really mad about it. Anyway, it's so funny. The next one is poor diet. As far as nutrition goes, they say that what's good for the heart is good for the brain. New evidence shows that a heart-healthy diet may also reduce your risk of dementia. So 2 diets are recommended to follow. The first is the Mediterranean diet. The second is the DASH, or Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension diet. The DASH diet focuses mainly on foods that are rich in calcium, potassium, protein, fiber, magnesium, and low in sodium. These are essential in helping to control blood pressure and assisting in losing weight in a healthy way. Both diets have a lot of evidence to back up these claims of lowering your risk. The following foods are suggested to eat regularly and have a healthy heart and brain. So, whole grains, leafy greens, other vegetables, nuts, beans and lentils, strawberries and blueberries, chicken, turkey, fish, olive oil, and wine, but no more than a small glass of wine daily. Foods to avoid are fried foods and fast foods, cheese, red meat, no more than 4 times a week, sweets, pastries, and sugar, butter less than 1 tablespoon per day, and carbohydrates. Berries are best as opposed to fruit in general because berries have been linked to being beneficial to cognitive functioning. Early data shows that those that followed the MIND or the Mediterranean diet for 4.5 years have brains that were equivalent to 7.5 years younger than those who did not follow this diet. If you are a female, you are in a greater risk category. One reason may be because we women live longer than men, and we've already determined that age is the #1 risk factor. Another reason might be because women have stronger immune systems. Stronger immune systems might result in women having more amyloid plaque in the brain than men. But again, we need a lot more research here to make a definite determination, but I thought it was worth talking about. Being physically active is one way to reduce your risk of dementia. Exercising regularly reduces obesity that we already discussed and how that can play an important part in the progression of dementia. Exercise also helps combat depression, which we already also determined is a risk factor. So get up off your butt and exercise. Exercising several times a week for 30 to 60 minutes keeps blood flowing through the brain and increases the chemicals that protect our brain. Exercise can increase the size of our hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain where our memories are stored. That is so cool. Isn't that cool? Cardio exercise also increases the gray and white matter volume in the prefrontal cortex. This is amazing. I gotta wrap this up and get my ass to the gym. Where's my gym bag? Stay healthy, stop smoking and drinking, don't get dementia. It sucks. Oh, and subscribe. I gotta go. Do you hate going into work every day because you don't know what you're walking into? Does it frustrate you that you don't have the proper training and the skills necessary to help people with Alzheimer's and dementia? Answers About Alzheimer's is launching a new certification program that will take your skills to the next level. Drop your email in the comments below or visit our website at answersaboutalz.org so that you can get notified when this program is launched.